What's going on?
Yo, Hollow Cult, what's up?
Living the dream.
We are back, ready to try this out again. We had an excellent time last time. It was awesome hanging out with everybody and interacting with you all in the chat. I'm seeing all sorts of familiar screen names and such. Shout out to the Discord crew.
For sure.
See you all over there.
It is pretty awesome.
It is definitely dope. We had some good calls last time. I hope everybody's brought the weird for when we popped that holophone live. That was wild.
That was a lot more than expected.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
That was a lot more than expected.
What do we got going on? We just had the gals from Spooks, Creeps, and Assorted Devilries on the normal show. That should drop probably the first episode of the year, I believe.
Yep.
Awesome conversation with them. Everybody definitely check that out when it drops. I'm trying to think when this...
It definitely got a little bit on the spiritual side.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Metaphysical, spiritual, whatever you want to call it.
We got a really good episode dropping the 26th.
Yeah.
With some Santa Claus encounters.
Yeah.
So you're not going to want to miss that. We decided to drop it after Christmas. That way we don't ruin the magic.
But yeah, it was a really good episode. Like when I was editing it, I just remember thinking to myself, I'm like, this is going to be a banger. Just because, not so much, because like I told you, like the way that I feel about, it's still weird to sit here and talk about Santa Claus as a cryptid or a metaphysical entity or what have you. It still makes me feel weird. But the way that our banter moves through that episode is just, I don't know. I feel like it's flawless. Like it really brought the episode to life, in my opinion. And that's just me. Like, I feel like if I can listen to that while editing and laugh and enjoy listening to it, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a good episode.
I was hoping it would go over good. When I started researching and finding all the encounters of people seeing it, I'm like, this is either going to be a banger or it's going to be lame. So I'm hoping it hits right.
For sure. Steve, what currently are you looking into writing?
I've got, you know me, everybody knows me. I've got like 40 different episodes
40.
started. My ADHD kicks in and I'm like, I'll start off and I'll be like, all right, this is going to be a banger. I'm going to be all about this episode and I'll get like 2,000 words in. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if that's going the way that I want it to. And then I'll skip and start a new one. So
yeah, that's fine.
I've got one on the St. Louis exorcism, almost finished. I've got one I've had in the bank for probably, 2 years. It's not about ancient civilizations, but it's about ancient man, and the timeline that mainstream history follows is not lining up with some of these archaeological discoveries. Like, I've got accounts of human footprints interlaid with dinosaur footprints, like they were on the earth at the same time.
How awesome would that be?
I don't even know. You read these and everything you've been taught, like mainstream history, tells you that this should not be right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But you have these accounts documented multiple times about these artifacts that just should not be. Like, I found one that there's multiple footprints, but one of the footprints is of a sandaled human foot, and within the heel of this sandal is a smashed trilobite, which those timelines should not have ever crossed ever, because they're one of the oldest multicelled organisms on the planet, and they went extinct.
And here we are stepping on them
far before man should have been around. So either man's a lot older than what we think, or somebody has made it back to the past to walk on this trilobite that we are now discovering in the present.
Well, and there's that great show which I haven't finished all the way yet, but Ancient Apocalypse on Netflix from I think it's Graham Hancock,
Yeah.
and he's talking about ancient civilizations and like just going back way farther than we've been told, which is it's fascinating. And why wouldn't that be the case, right? The big enigma for me would be if we coexisted with dinosaurs. To me, that's mind blowing.
Yeah, I just like I have multiple accounts of people finding fossilized dinosaur tracks with fossilized human tracks. So like how did that happen? Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unless they were coexisting. And even some of the human tracks are even overlaid with dinosaur prints. So the human track was there, and then the dinosaur print was laid over top of it. So the human walked through the mud, the humanoid, whatever it was, walked through the mud. Then the dinosaur followed suit, almost like it might have been tracking it.
Which is
And
terrifying.
The tracks fossilized.
That's so bizarre. I've been looking or I'm gonna start looking up, which I just the other night whenever I was editing, I just kind of was going through as many lists as I could. It's not a very easy lookup, but like real mythological objects, like objects that have power. So like one of the easiest to throw out there would be like the Spear of Destiny.
Yeah.
Items like that.
Ark of the Covenant.
Yes, all types of them. There's one called like the Hand of Glory, King Solomon's Ring. That would be another one. All types of just really, really cool, supposed power objects. Like, another one, the Sword and Stone. King Arthur's sword.
Oh yeah.
So there's
That would be sick.
Yeah, there's so many of them, and like it kind of inspired me not only with the Christmas episode, but then just some of the short stories we've been kind of throwing around, off air. That's going to be built up for, an actual episode.
I've also started putting together. I'm thinking about I know I started doing it on the 50 states of cryptids, and I kind of fell off, kind of went other ways. I was thinking about putting some episodes together about just like the 40 and 50 states, where I'll pick a state and I will pick weird ass accounts that have come out of the state, like all across the board. Everything from cryptid sightings to like miracles, bleeding statues, crying statues, all sorts of that stuff, and then just do an episode on a state, all the weirdness I can find, put it out, and then try to get through all 50. Because I was hunting down this book called Jim Brandon, Weird America, Guide to Places of Mystery in the United States. A physical copy. The only physical copy I found was about $1,800.
Cool. So you can totally afford it.
So out of print, but I did find a copy online. So I'm going to use that as kind of a roadmap and take the examples out of there, because this book is mint. It has cryptids that I've never even heard of, like weird shit. Like I was talking about the meat showers and stuff, and like the falls of animals from the sky and all that weird Fortean stuff that like used to just blow my mind when I was young. This book is I've got multiple books. I'm a collector of weird literature. Like I have tons of it all over the place. And there's some of them
your room is pretty chock full of it.
Yeah, it's stacked. But that was one that I could not find in physical copy. I love physical media. I'm just a sucker for it. So I was on the hunt for that. I'm not shelling out $1,800 for it though. But I did find it online. So I'm gonna try to start packing together maybe a 50 state one by one. I might just trickle it out there, because I don't want to just every episode be like, oh, here's another state, here's another state.
Right.
State. what else am I working on?
Well,
St. Louis exorcism.
what are your thoughts on the recently declassified CIA had a hand in the Kennedy assassination?
I I started to look into that, and I don't know that it says anything like that. I think people
Really?
are misinterpreting it. I think people took the fact that the CIA held out all of this information for this long, and they kind of threaded that into, "Hey, they killed Kennedy." And I'm not saying they didn't. 95% sure that they did, but I don't
Right.
think they talk about it in those files.
Right.
Because I was perusing, and I'm like, man, people are
Well,
reaching.
I highly doubt that the wording in there would be very specific. You know, you'd feel like a lot of it would probably be redacted.
Yeah, and I think they held out because some of the information there was probably detrimental regardless.
Yeah.
So that kind of fuels the fire too. They're not going to come out and say, "Yeah, we fucking took Kennedy's head off," but I don't think it. I don't think it says what people want it to say.
Fair
You know what I
enough.
mean?
Fair enough.
It is. It is not strange necessarily to say that they held out this long because I mean, how long has it been? 50 plus years, probably longer than that. The fact that they're just still trickling out information is ignorant to me. I feel like everyone that had their fingers in the actual death of him is already gone.
Right.
Just put it out there. All you're doing is breeding more questions, breeding more. I don't even like the word conspiracy anymore because it's like me and you were talking. It just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth anymore. Like everything's a conspiracy until it's proven true, you know?
Right. It's a I mean, yeah, I'm with you. The fact that 90% sure our government had a hand in it. That's kind of blatant in my opinion. But it's another one of them things too where it reminds me a lot when they started dropping quote unquote UFO disclosure. It just feels like once again people are not impressed. You know
No.
what I mean? Because you don't hear anybody talking about it. The disclosure thing was just a mind blowing event. You know, when they said they had all four crafts, and then now I know that some media outlets may have jumped the gun, so to speak, in throwing accusations about how they definitely had a hand in the assassination of Kennedy. But regardless, it's like once again, nobody cares and nobody's impressed. And
No. Nobody's
and
shocked is the thing.
yeah, that might be it. That might be why there is a lack of the whole like shock and awe
Yeah.
situation because, like you said, everybody's like, well, I mean, yeah, that makes the most sense.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't surprise anyone that they had a hand in it. My
Right.
question would be, what was he into that got him topped? Got his nog chopped? What is it? His digging into the UFO information? Is it his ties with Cuba and the whole Cold War bullshit? Like, what was the big thing?
Wasn't there even a accusation that he was letting secrets go to Maryland?
Oh yeah, especially after she died.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
maybe it was Jackie O. Maybe she just had them all offed. She was just sick of it. She
Maybe.
was sick of the mistresses, and she said, "You know what? Just take them.
Done.
Take
Game
them."
over. Game over.
I'm gonna peep through the chat here. Mafia, his dad was into. Yeah, that's definitely another aspect of it. Um, I know people have been reposting, like people that are interested in it have been reposting the Zapruder film and they're trying to point out that the driver turned around and shot him and all this other shit. Like, I don't know, man. We got a ton of people in the chat. What's up, everybody? I'm digging
JoJo
this.
here.
Yeah, digging it.
JFK
Gotta
popped.
get CIA criminality into the public. Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
That'll
mean, and we've
definitely
heard
do it.
that, we've heard that discussed many a times. Like you said, Steve, he was trying, not only was he trying to take the CIA on, but he tried going after all of them at once.
Yeah.
Trying to dismantle every branch, and that's not going to fly.
No, he was
even at the
definitely there to
root,
stir
at the
the pot.
base root of it, you're talking about people losing their jobs, but they're not going to take kindly to.
No.
Nobody's going to take kindly to that. Now, that extreme is a little bit ridiculous, but obviously there's other things at play in that situation. It's not just about losing their job.
Yep, he was definitely poking some big bears, that's for sure.
For sure.
AI boys are in the chat. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Hope you guys are keeping it weird, keeping it safe down there. I did find something that I was going to send to them. I might do a little episode on it.
Speaking of which, I forgot to mention to you another thing that I forgot to mention to you. Speaking of the AI boys, so those guys were just on Tony Merkel's The Confessionals, right? Telling their story about the treasure and the petroglyph and all this stuff. And they reach out and they're like, they had listened to my most recent Skinwalker episode. And he was like, yo, dude, did you realize that both your stories that you had, the first one, they were looking for petroglyphs, and the second one, he was looking for lost treasure.
Oh shit!
I was like, yo, dude, I didn't even put that together.
You guys got to deal with the Skinwalkers down there.
Yeah. And then I was talking to our friend Ed about it, and he was like, hey, that was a great episode. Another thing, it's a good thing that you didn't say their real name. And I was like, oh, believe me, I tried. I just couldn't pronounce it because I was totally going to say the real name. And he's like, dude, you don't want those things coming around and checking in on you. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I don't. But at the same time, we are who we are. I mean,
Kyle trying to keep us out of the woods. Nah, man, that treasure's all you guys. You can just throw some silver doubloons the Holosky way for the Holo Cult, and we're square. Like I said, if you need a heavy equipment operator, I can do it. Not well, but I can dig a hole. So we got this. But what I was gonna say, I was digging through this this book here, and it reminded me of you AI boys. I'll read the entire little section here. This is from Ohio, actually, from Hammondsville, Ohio. It says a large slate wall covered with untranslatable hieroglyphics was found in a coal strip mine owned by a Captain Lacey in the fall of 1868. Workman James Parsons uncovered it behind a large mass of coal. The lines of glyphs were about 3 inches apart. Local scholars could not puzzle them out, but before more qualified savants could arrive, the slate had decomposed and crumbled due to the unwanted exposure from fresh air. Here's where it gets down toward your neck of the woods. A similar wall that did get studied was massively ignored, was found in a farm field in Bradley County, Tennessee. So there's another hieroglyphic wall down south, and apparently there was one in Ohio. The more I look, there's more. I did find some articles on the one from Bradley County, and it is weird, fellas. It's weird. I should have saved the article, but I didn't.
Remember that time I sent you pictures of the artwork that I found inside a cave?
Yeah.
They were, what was it? It was it was handprints. It was a buffalo or some type of creature. And then I can't remember what else there was. I had 3 pictures.
Oh, I don't think I still have. I think they're on my old phone.
It was weird. They were definitely on my old phone too, but it wasn't painted on there with paint. Because I touched one of the handprints and it came off like a chalky residue type thing, Very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. But it was really cool. You could tell it was, if it was 100% legit, it was like native artwork, it was so cool to see. So I remember going in there with my coworker and he was like, dude, this is this what I think it is? And I'm like, I mean, It's got to be, right? Like, I don't know. And then I took pictures of it, and then no sooner did we walk out of that cave, and my phone died. It completely shut off, even though it was fully charged.
Yeah,
So whether there was anything behind that or not is irrelevant. But
I posted those on a lot of artifact forums, and it was almost a 50-50 as to whether or not people thought they were ancient and legit.
no kidding.
The fact that they were so well preserved was pretty much the thing that kind of knocked them down a notch.
Really?
Yeah, because it almost looked like it was like dust blown. And ancient Americans around here, we have this this kind of real flaky rock called ochre, and they would use that as their face paint and stuff. You add a little water to it and it becomes pasty. If you grind it up, it also makes a dust. So if you were to put your hand up and blow, it would do the outline of your hand.
Interesting.
So I don't know. I wish I still had the pictures, man.
Yeah, they were pretty cool. They were pretty cool.
But I did like circling back to the hieroglyphics found in Tennessee. I found some articles on it, and it's weird. Some of the assumptions. In his opinion, the wall had been buried for over 4,000 years. They're citing stories of lost tribes of Israel, and they believe some of the hieroglyphics to be Hebrew Sanskrit, an ancient form, like an offshoot.
In Tennessee?
In Tennessee.
What?
Yeah, I've got a whole
How
article.
wild is that?
It is something.
Which, I mean, even that alone shatters any of our current history. Like, that just annihilates it.
It's weird. It's weird. The wall was described as being 2.5 feet thick, built of stones about 2 foot square and 10 inches thick, having 3 tiers of stone in which strange characters appeared only on the west face of the middle tier. In the Herald Newsport paper, it states that stones found in the mill were being exhibited, and what was thought to be hieroglyphics cut in them by some lost race who built the wall long before any white man lived here. Excavations supported by the first Smithsonian Institute revealed 3-ply sandstone-like wall structure over 900 feet long, bearing hieroglyphic inscriptions on the west side of the middle tier.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That is crazy. Like, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I know how I felt. I knew how I felt when I found what I thought was real, the native paintings on the inside that cave. I couldn't imagine stumbling across something like that. Couldn't even begin to imagine the feeling you'd get.
Oh, the first thing that I thought was this, since there are multiple. I mean, and there that's not the only one. There are multiple, like the what is it? The Kensington Runestone, I think it is.
I don't know.
Where,
it sounds
where
cool.
they have the what's the word I'm looking for? The Viking runes carved on the face of the rock here. I don't know, Minnesota somewhere.
I mean,
there's
let's
multiple accounts of this ancient hieroglyphic carved in writing that predates what we should, like, the only people that should have been here would have been ancient Native Americans, people who lived here the whole time. And then you have carvings and writings that are multiple thousands of years old that they can date back to other areas on the planet. Somehow it got here. Somehow, at the very least, the information got here.
Right. I'm all about the Viking runes, and I've heard you talk about that before, how they have thought to find Viking runes carved in stones and stuff around the Americas.
Yeah, I'm considering putting a whole episode together because, I mean, if nothing else, it just lends more credence to the stuff that the AI boys found.
Oh yeah, 100%.
To the carvings that they found,
which is awesome.
It is awesome.
That gave me goosebumps.
I hope those dudes find treasure.
Well, yeah, and they better give us enough so we can make grills.
Yeah, we do need hollow grills. That's all we expect, friends.
Yes.
Just give us enough to buy some hollow grills, and
Yeah.
then
Well, like you were saying the
we're
other
even.
day, that have still has some of the coin markings in it, like
Yeah,
on the grill. That
like
would
the
be
balloons.
awesome.
Let's see what's going on in the chat here. I was just yakking off for a while. It's gonna be awesome. Have to dig into that. Says the AI boys. Jojo says, check out the Irish monks and the voyage of Saint Brendan. Many believe that the lost 10 tribes ended up in a land called Arsaith, which could be the Americas, but that's only a hypothesis. Hey guys, I watch a lot of different podcasts that are similar to yours, but you guys are the best by far. Appreciate all the work hours you put into your episodes. Quantum, thanks.
I appreciate that, buddy.
Radam. Yes. I never get tired of hearing positive stuff.
Kind Bones, thanks for the love on the Skinwalker episode. Man, those books are so good. So good. And like I said, that was like the 3 first chapters of that book. And there was so many more in there. Is unreal.
Yeah, he was reading off the titles, and I'm like, dude, we should probably do another episode on this.
Oh, I'm 100% going to do more. I'm just going to cut it up here and there. It'll be Exploring Skinwalkers Part 2 some other time. And like I said, there's 2 other books that I have to go through yet. And it's one of them topics that is just super fascinating to me. The legend of the Skinwalker and all the lore that surrounds it. You know, I even like seeing the pictures of, like, if you Google it, you can see like the natives with the black and white paint on, and they have the coyote skins over top of them, or the wolf skin, or whatever they have, and it looks fucking awesome. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it looks badass. And so it's just and then the lore from the natives has always fascinated me so much, because they were so different than anything that I've been able to read about, you know. And it's just, I don't know, it's just always been a really cool, interesting subject to me.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I've always been a history buff in general, and when things fall outside the mainstream timeline, it just really, like, I just dig into that shit. Like alternate timelines, alternate Earths, all that stuff. When things don't line up the way that we've been taught, definitely gets the wheels going.
Right.
Oh, what else we got
Love
here?
this right here. That's an early one
The
there,
lamp. That was an old one,
dude. And that was good. Like, that episode was good.
that was dope. If I don't even know what episode it is, but we had our friend from London, Flick, call in. She tells a story about her coma. It's a lot like the lamp.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Which is absolutely
I don't even know
insane.
what episode that was.
It's an early one.
It was awesome. What else we got going on here? Emily, hey guys, huge fan of the podcast. Thank you. The episode of Tinfoil Hat about the Moors of America was interesting and touches on some of what you're talking about, Vikings and such. I'll have to check it. Out. Can't wait for more. I'd love to hear more from the woods too. Kyle's your Skinwalker guy. He's got the info.
Love it. I'd like to be able to find a ton of information on the Wendigo as well, because that's another one that I fucking love reading about.
Yeah.
And it's weird, because if you kind of dissect them in a way, the Wendigo and Skinwalker are almost identical. Like they're virtually their creation, and how they become, and they have mystical properties to them, both of them, because you can have a Wendigo. What do they call that? It's like the Wendigo curse, where it just kind of like drives you insane, and it'll make you cannibalize people. And then the Skinwalker itself can put all types of curses on you, and all that. They're very, very, very similar. But once again, I mean, you hear about the Algonquin, and they talk about the Wendigo. So it's another. It could be another derivative of native lore, belief, you know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and I mean, it could be different nations, different tribes defining the same thing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know?
And just like Bigfoot, you have in different sections of just even the United States, they all have different characteristics, So who's to say that the desert skinwalker, and I mean, by all logic, the desert skinwalker should look different from the northern Wendigo or a northern skinwalker, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, please post the Discord invite. I will do that as soon as I get a chance.
You should be
I'll
able to
post-
check any of our show notes on our episodes, and it should be in there.
Yeah, go to our show notes. I think it's an open invite. You click on it, and it'll take you right to the Discord. There's all kinds of channels. Just click on them. Everything from post your snacks to post a conspiracy, all sorts of stuff. It's a excellent group and excellent community over there. So check that out.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Oh, we are probably gonna do some investigating this year. So that should be neat.
Heck yeah.
We don't know what we're doing, but I am starting to acquire some equipment. So that should be fun. Maybe, or terrifying or horrible. I don't know. We're just gonna wing it. We're just gonna go with it. We're supposed to hook up with Burton from Local Legends whenever we get our schedules figured out. We are gonna set that up and go see some weird shit. Talk to some ghosts or something.
I'm in. That's like, well, we were talking last night with the girls from Spooks. Like that's what I want more than anything when it comes to us, and like when we go out. I just want that undeniable experience where both of us just go, "Yep."
There
I
it
mean,
is.
like legitimately, because like I was telling them, and I guarantee you'll agree with just about anybody else who listens on the regular. More times than not, one of us is the Scully, and one of us is the Mulder. Like one of us will be just doubled down on something, and the other one will try to ground the other one out, or at least reel them back in a smidge. But I want that experience where we're both together, and no matter which way up or down logic tries to take us, we just can't get around it. It's undeniable.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not here to try to prove the paranormal to anybody but myself.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. And I mean, realistically, we've already had, even together, we've had several experiences that I would say we can't explain, but it's nothing that's like right there in your face. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like there's a difference, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah. What do we got here?
Oh, Colleen.
Stay away from cemetery eggs. That's funny that you bring that up because it was brought up last night when we were talking with the gals from Spooks. So Laura, she's never had any kind of paranormal experience. She's got some great stories about her family that have encountered a bunch of stuff, everything from pterosaurs to there is a kind of a story that went through their family that her grandfather caught a mermaid, which we talk about, which is
awesome.
But she wants to go to Cemetery X with us to see if anything happens. So
it's
we will.
It's a heavy place.
We'll have to check that out.
And
we should do a live ghost investigation.
Well, Steve needs to upgrade his internet. That's what he needs to do. Okay, you're back, I think.
My internet cut out there, so I missed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do we got here? Live investigations. We will if we can, but a lot of places will not let us. Will not let you record commercially. So we'll see what we can do.
That's true. JoJo here made me laugh. We don't want them deciding they like you.
Ghost Hunter Dave said you can ghost hunt all you want, but don't fuck with the devil because the devil will follow you home.
Dude, that has been one of them quotes that has hung with me through. I mean, you told me that years ago, like probably 15 years ago. Probably
Yeah.
longer than that, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Me and Ghost Hunter Dave worked together on a night shift in a plastic factory, running these big programmable shelling saws. And why we'd have a long program running, we would get together and we would talk. And come to find out, I'd went to school with his daughters. We kind of connected that way. And he had been doing all these investigations for years and years and years that I didn't know about. So I would just sit there like a child listening to him tell all of these encounters that he had. And I was just like, it was like Christmas morning. I was just sitting there just in awe of all these stories that he told me. And
That's
now
so
he's kind
awesome.
of, I went on a couple investigations with him. He's a solid dude. And he did just record his Bigfoot encounter and a couple of his other paranormal encounters with Wes from Sasquatch Chronicles. So I don't know when the episode drops. I don't know Wes's drop schedule, but Dave from Rosedale will be on there with his Rosedale Bigfoot encounter. It takes a lot to spook Dave. Dave's a big dude, big solid dude. And he said seeing that Sasquatch was probably one of the most terrifying encounters of his life.
Which is crazy because I've heard his Cemetery X story, which sounds terrifying. I think I would be more afraid of that than seeing Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Personally, that's me. But I'm also not there, so I can't say that with 100% certainty.
Yeah, I guess it would. I keep going through the comments here. I get distracted. I'm like, my little brother's in here. He says, "I'll be on the film crew. I'll be like Aaron off the Ghost Adventures. So
we've already thought of that.
Send him into send him down the body shoot at Waverly Hills. Bryce said I went ghost hunting at the Limp Mansion in St. Louis and it's super haunted. Yeah, the Limp's one I was considering too, because it's close by Missouri State Penitentiary. I was thinking, I know it's kind of commercially, but I think there's different tiers where you can go in and do a private investigation. So we're hoping to get that off the ground this year and kind of get going and seeing some weird shit.
Yeah, for sure.
The devil will be sure to get the last word in on any conversation. Twisted said I got to go to the Central State Asylum before it was tore down on the west side of Indiana. I haven't heard of the Central State Asylum. Pretty haunted. I know we had Ghost Hunter Dave's been in Mantino State Penitentiary, State Asylum, all sorts of stuff. He sent us a couple more emails about some of his encounters. I'm trying to get him on the show. I'm like, Dave, you went on Sasquatch Chronicles, but you did not come on Holosky. What is the issue we're having here?
You have to. All right. Well, what do you think, Steve?
Burton said, will you boys be down to ever use a Ouija board?
I'm wishy-washy on that one. But there is one right behind us when we record all the time, so.
Who put those there?
Weird.
Now everybody's like, well, no wonder there's all kinds of weird shit going on.
I've used one before, though. I have used a Ouija board before.
I have too.
And it is definitely weird.
My mom has a story. I know I'm cutting into probably live phone call time here, but my mom had a story where they used one at a neighbor's house. They were having they lived in an old house, one of the oldest houses in town. And they started having all this weird stuff go on. The kids would have toys. There was this toy fire truck that would go off all the time in the night to scare the kids. So they took the batteries out. It would still keep going off. They had a cordless phone. They would ring at all hours. When they'd answer, it'd just be static. Took the power source from it. Phone still rang. So my mom went over there and they used a Ouija board and got in contact with a spirit named George, and all this other weird stuff went on. So I don't know, man.
Sounds legit.
I feel like it has a lot to do with your intention, I think. Ouija boards, I mean, essentially, they can Milton Bradley sells them or whoever the hell. So I don't feel like they can be that nefarious, but I feel like when they do get nefarious, people are kind of leaning that way. They want something
that's fair,
extreme to happen. And I feel like when you put that intention out there are entities and there are beings just waiting. It's like holding a carrot over their head They're like, oh, we got a bunch of teenagers that want the shit scared out of them. Let's go.
That's terrible. That's so mean.
I don't make the rules.
I'm not arguing with you. It's just, it's really fucked up.
Randy West said I spent a night at Stanley Hotel. That was creepy. I'd love to go to Stanley. Let me see here. There's another big hotel in Banff, Alberta. That is massive and creepy in the middle of the mountains. I would love to go check that out too. It's supposed to be haunted. Burton says maybe we'll have to record you guys using a Ouija board at the location. I know Kenneth, our friend from the Discord and our buddy, he lives up that way and he might come along with us. He said my one thing is no Ouija boards. I guess he's had some not great experiences from the Ouija community.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm at this stage of my life, I'm a little wishy-washy on it. I think if I felt significantly more comfortable in like my protection and stuff like that, I don't think it would bother me so much. It might not even bother me that bad anyways. I don't know. I'm a very how would you just like a mood person, like right now, no. And then there might come a time where I'm like, all right, full send, let's go.
I'm pretty much head first. Let's go. That's why I got into this. I know people will be pissed that I just go head first. They're like, you're asking for terrible shit to happen to you. It doesn't have to be terrible. Like,
That's true. That's true.
Show me. Like, if I get on the Ouija board, just say, yes, we exist. And then I can hang up. I'd be like, all right, cool. That's all I needed, you know?
It's 100% real. It's real.
Yeah, it's just what I needed. There's Birdie said there's no bouncer when you open that door. That's fucking facts.
Yeah, that's true.
So we got almost 40 people in the chat. Are you guys done listening to us yak? You want us to open up the lines? I wonder if there's a poll like we can vote.
Too late.
Kyle went a full send, baby.
Going on. It's on. So if anybody has anything they want to talk about, they are more than welcome to give us a call and we can have a conversation. If not, me and Steve will keep
yakking.
Keep going.
Just remember, when you're on, keep it polite.
Yes.
Keep it respectful.
It's already ringing.
Let's go.
Let's see here.
I love it. I love that as soon as we open that thing.
How you doing?
Whoa, wow. That was, wow. Hey guys, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's up?
Hanging out watching the show.
Awesome.
Big fan.
Thank you.
Troll. I kind of hang out on Discord, but
heck yeah, awesome.
Yeah. You there? Or are you cutting out?
I don't know. So I can't remember. Do you guys want to hear my scariest ghost story ever?
Let's go.
Oh yeah, send it.
Okay, so this is about 20 years ago, and I was in between jobs, but I happened to find a job with a custodial service that cleaned local high schools and junior highs. And I got a notice that the big boss is going to call me on Monday and tell me where to go and meet him. And I thought to myself, what are the odds that I'm going to clean my old high school? And about 4:00 in the afternoon, I get a phone call, and it's the area manager, and he's like, "Hey, can you come to Pocatello High School?" Which is my old high school. And a little backstory, that place is notoriously haunted. And from all that, like, when you graduate junior high school, people ask you which high school you're going to go to. And if you said Pokey High, which is short for Pocatello High School, almost always like, hey, you know that place is haunted, right? And I'm like, there's no way. Anyway, he calls me and he's like, meet me at Pocatello High School. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm not kidding you. I show up, I meet with him, and he goes, okay, you know about this place, right? And I'm like, and I go, that it's haunted, right? And he goes, yeah. He goes, just do me a favor. Don't walk out on me. We've lost 2 guys in a month already. And I'm like, really? Is it haunted? He's like, yeah, let me show you something. And he takes me to a very small classroom in the middle of the basement hallway. And there's a door there with a glass pane window and some very old steps that lead up to the main floor. And he goes, okay, there was a person cleaning in here, vacuuming, and he turns around and there's an old lady's face looking at him back through this glass window. And he ran out and he never came back. And I had to admit, I'm like, yeah, I don't believe you. But the more I worked there, the more weirdness was going on. Like, I would hear these doors slam, bathrooms, toilets flush when there's nobody in the building. There was an alarm in the library that, you know, those anti-theft things that they have at Walmart, that if you're trying to steal something, it would go off.
Yeah.
That thing would go off at random times, all the time, all night. And okay, so here comes the scary part. So I'm dusting off, and I got this pile of dust ready to sweep up, and I'm at one end of the hall, and there's an opening to the library. I catch something coming out of the corner of my eye. I look up, and there looks like to be a lady in a old Western style dress come floating down the hallway. And I look up, I see her, she sees me, and she abruptly turns to her left and goes through a solid wood door into another classroom. And I freak out. I drop everything.
I love it.
And I start running down the stairs. And I'm halfway down the stairs, and there's a voice that pops in my head that says, "Don't run. She wants you to run." So I calmly but swiftly go down the stairs. Yeah, I noped out. I noped out fast.
I would have done the same thing.
I go out and I find my. This was at break time, so I go out and I find my bosses, and they're like, "What are you doing out here?" And I'm like, "I'm not going back in there unless you go back in there with me." A while later, I get moved to another building that's part of the school, but different. This is a very old auditorium. This is this auditorium's super old. Like, we've had what is his name? Roosevelt and JFK speak there. It's very old, very creepy, big building. I'm with my coworker. She's like, "I'm going on break." I hear her get her stuff and leave. I hear the door shut behind her, and I'm finished up doing cleaning. And down the hallway, I hear someone go, "Kelly!" Like that typical spooky, like, name calling thing that you always see in movies. And I ignore it, and then I hear, "Kelly, where are you?" And I'm like, okay, she snuck in the other way. She's trying to scare me. So I'm like, "I'm over here." And I wait, and nothing. And then a little while later, I hear, Kelly, where are you? And I'm like, all right, enough. And I go and I look outside, because these are, like, I go outside and I look out the window, and she's out there with everybody else having a cigarette on her smoke break. And I went, oh, hell no. Went to the closet, got our stuff, and I went flying out there. I fast walked out there. And the look on their faces were like, I mean, seeing a guy carrying a girl's coat with a purse and swing, just fast walking towards him had to be like the funniest sight ever for those guys. And they're like, what happened? And I'm like, I pointed at her and I said, I heard you call my name and ask me where I was 3 times. And she's like, oh, it wasn't me. And I'm like, I know it wasn't you. And one of the other janitors, he was a district janitor. He's like, oh yeah, I've heard that before. And I'm like, you've heard that before? And he's like, yeah. No.
Just bounce. I'm like,
I'm not going back in there unless somebody goes back in there with me, man. And that place is just notoriously haunted. So that's one of my stories, but I've got others. But I'll let somebody else call in and tell theirs. So I love you guys' podcast. Have a good night and Merry Christmas.
All right, thanks. You too.
You as well. Thank you for calling in. And there is just something innately creepy about the old like school buildings in general. Like just the liminal spaces of it being empty is just weird. I remember walking through our old high school, feeling the same. Like you always feel like there's might be somebody else there, and there's all sorts of weird weird noises and shit.
Maybe just because the age of it, it's had so much, I guess energy and people pass through it. Maybe it's just kind of destined to collect some of it.
Yeah. And I was reading, I wish I could find the article on it, but they were talking about spiritual energy and ghosts in general, about all ghosts just being like a residual energy, and it's only held like has something to do with like the Earth's crust and whatever kind of rock is here. Like you hear sandstone and limestone is a real good conductor for spiritual energy, that the energy from us being alive is trapped, but only for so long. That's why when people see ghosts, it's only from like a certain time period. You never see ghosts that are like super old, from like the 1400s or the 1300s.
Interesting.
Every ghost you see is like from 1800 on. And it's because after their spiritual energy hangs out for so long, it eventually gets released. Which I don't know that I buy into it, but it was an interesting theory.
Yeah, for sure. I do, man. I have to, like, in his story, it would weird me out even more, like in his first experience there, where he saw the woman walking towards him, and then she just straight jukes him. Like they make the eye contact, and then she just straight cuts away, like, oh, not supposed to see me, goodbye.
Yep.
And she shoots off. The other thing that I just could not help, like I almost just started laughing my ass off whenever he's like, I speed walked. And I'm like, I don't know what I would do, because I just feel like it's so comical, the image of someone speed walking versus like if he just would have just bolted, just took off running. Because I think if he would have ran full on, I would have been more inclined to think something was wrong. However, him speed walking is just awkward. Like, nope.
Oh, that was Birdie from the Discord.
All
He's
right.
commenting on it. Hell yeah. Thanks for calling in, Birdie. It's cool to put voices to screen names. There's a ton of Discord people in here. I saw Autumn in here. I see Colleen in here. All sorts of everybody. I'm so glad you guys decided to hang out with us.
I don't know what I would do, like, especially once again reverting back to his first one, like seeing an individual walking towards me and then dip through a door, like just a solid door, just go bloop, And it'd be even weirder making that eye contact with that spirit.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know how I would take that.
My grandparents' house well, we'll take the call.
Yeah, I'll answer it. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Doing wonderful.
So, great. Yeah, awesome. So first of all, I gotta say I've been listening to you guys since confessionals,
Awesome.
and I wanted to
yeah, shout
chime
out,
in
Tony.
on oh yeah, Tony. I wanted to talk about a real creepy story I got.
Okay.
Let's go.
So, this was about, let's see, I was probably about 13, 14, and just to have a little backstory, my parents had split a while back, and they were not on good terms, and so my dad kind of, we believe that he would have dark entities attached to him, and then they would follow me because I would get pretty angry. But anyways, I remember one night in this apartment my mom and I were staying at, I just was just up, just couldn't sleep, and I had that feeling of being watched. And so I at the time I had the original Xbox, and I'm all watching, because I'll watch like videos and stuff to go to sleep, and I was watching Tokyo Drift. I watched that movie like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember how many times I watched it, but it was a lot. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's just me being paranoid, whatever. Well, then all of a sudden you get that smell. I could smell this, like, that outdoor, when somebody's been outside for like in the night, it's kind of that out, I don't know how to explain it, but like, not exactly smoke, but just that kind of smell you get from when somebody comes from outside in the night.
Right.
And I'm all peeking around, like, seeing if my window's open or something. No, everything's closed. So I'm like, all right, that's odd. And then I'm like, okay, well, that feeling of dread just gripped me. And there's this calendar that I had, and I just kept staring at this calendar for some reason. I kept looking over it and keep looking over it and over it. Then all of a sudden, like within moments, it just like somebody just hit the side of it and made it swish back and forth really fast. And then I just booked it, and I was like, Mom, can I just sleep on the couch? And I woke her up, and she woke me up, and we were scared, and I just stayed in her room for the night. But yeah, it was so bad in that room for the longest time. Like when my grandma would come over and help us out and stuff and clean and stuff, she'd have that door closed. And eventually we got some LDS missionaries to come and bless the house, and we later on moved out from it. So yeah, but that's one of my many stories that I have. But
After the missionaries,
I've had a few encounters.
After the missionaries came and blessed the house, did everything kind of die down?
Yeah, it kind of died down, though. When my sister actually coincidentally moved into that place, after us, I would have this. I don't know if it was just me, but it's just that feeling of like it could appear. But yeah, it died down.
Well, that's a good thing.
We were talking to Trina from Spooks, and she has interesting like allegories on spirits and things. She says while there are bad entities, she kind of like she compares them to sharks. They just are doing shark things. They're not doing it for the good. They're not doing it for bad. They're just being themselves. And I feel like a lot of times these entities will seem predatory and prey on people who are going through turmoil. I feel like the turmoil in your life kind of opens you up. That negative energy that's brooding around you was almost like a target to some of them, and they just feed off of it. They feed off the fear. They feed off
like
the
blood in
sadness.
the water.
Yeah,
You know,
almost like
like
they
a
can
shark.
smell it.
And it is a really cool way of putting it, you know. And I also liked her idea on how if spirits hang out too long, they start to become twisted. They start to become more of a negative, malicious entity, you know, because you're not supposed to hang on for that long. You're supposed to let go and move on. It's very interesting.
Yes. Thank you for calling and sharing your experience with us.
It's much appreciated.
Thank you. Keep up the good works, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good holidays. Be safe.
Yeah, you too.
Oh man, like it's one of them things too. Like you know, 2 ghost stories essentially, and it's nothing that I have personally like really experienced, like seeing those things. And like I know you feel like she said, like, you know, if I heard it right, she would get that like foreboding feeling, like something was about to show itself, even though she never literally saw it. And I feel like I don't know what would be worse, that sitting in that like moment of suspension where you're anticipating, it's almost like waiting for that jump scare, and you don't know if it's going to come or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you feel this negative force here, and it's not actually presenting itself, even though you feel like it's about to present itself.
My grandparents' house was haunted, and it might still be. I'm not sure. I've had some weird experiences there that I just kind of write off as nothing. But when my uncle was young, he had a room in the basement, and he had a rocking chair that would rock on its own. Just at different points in the night and time, the rocking chair would start rocking. One night he woke up. It was probably early in the morning, 2:00 ish, I'm assuming, and the rocking chair was rocking. Scared him. As he jumped up to run up the stairs, he saw the form of a woman. She was it was just the top half from her waist up, but he said it looked like she was in an older, like early 1900 style dress, and she was moving up the stairs from their basement. He said he ran right through her. He was so scared. Just booked it straight through the ghost. My grandpa had experiences where my grandma would get up and leave early for work. He would still be in bed. She'd leave at like 4 a.m, and he had something sit on the foot of his bed. He thought it was her, came back and forgotten something, and it scared him to the point to where he wouldn't sleep in the bedroom anymore. Finally, he just kind of took the power back, and he's like, whoever's here, you are not welcome. You need to get out of here. And he said from there, he had never had an experience again. I'd had some weird experiences, but I can't really like write them off as that they were ghosts or whatever. They would always travel. They'd go to Hawaii every year, and I would go down and house sit and take care of the animals and everything. And I'd get their mail in the paper and bring it in so nobody knew that they were gone. And it was probably 7:00 in the morning. I'd went in to drop the mail off, and as I'm upstairs, I heard something crash downstairs. So I'm like that. Like it was a significant crash. So I turn around, and I still have the mail in my hand and the rolled up newspaper. So I just set the mail on the stairwell railing, and I toss the rolled up newspaper over my shoulder. I'll just pick it up later. There's nobody in the house. It doesn't matter. Go downstairs, look around. I cannot find the source of whatever this massive crash was in the basement. I'm looking around. I'm like, man, there's going to be a mess down here. I'm going to have to clean it up. Don't find it. So I'm like, whatever. Go out the basement, take care of the hogs and everything. Come back in, and the newspaper that I just tossed over my shoulder was directly in the middle of their table, standing on end, straight up in the middle of their table. And I'm like, what are the odds that I threw it over my shoulder hard enough to hit the table, and then it also stood up straight on the end?
I mean, it's not
impossible.
It's not impossible. However, very unlikely.
That's how I am.
Very
I'm like,
unlikely.
I'm like, it was just a good throw. I just nailed it.
Yeah. Hey, it's no different than me and when I go to sleep, where I'm just like, yep, I'm going to bed. Not
If I can find
not rolling this one around right now.
a plausible answer as opposed to a terrifying answer, I go for it.
Well, and that's what we always do. That's what everybody does. A lot of people rationalize it. It's hard to let that go because you start to feel like you're going crazy, like your mental stability is starting to slip from you, and you are just going off the deep end.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, that's how I feel, anyways. Like if I consider it too much, if I sit and think, and I'm like, yeah, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, and you're like, no, like, no, I'm not going crazy. I know that I'm not crazy, but you feel like you feel like you're going nuts.
Yeah, it's like I said, if I can convince myself of a normal explanation, then I will do it.
Like I said, I think that's what just about everybody does.
Yeah, it just gives you a peace of mind as opposed to having to chase down the unexplained.
Well, it's the other thing too. Like I feel like because to be fair, a lot of people who know more about that subject usually seem to be less afraid, right? Like if they, like you talked to Trina, she's pretty knowledgeable on those subjects, and she just kind of deals with it. She's just like, it's whatever. Like I'm not really that affected by it. It gets annoying from time to time, but it's whatever. And then for the people like us who aren't extremely versed in those, that's when it gets scary, a little more scary, almost like you're trying a new job or something. You're kind of like, all right, I don't know what to do here, so I'm gonna freak out now.
Yeah,
because I know this isn't normal.
Yep. I agree.
So it's I don't know, it's bizarre. The spiritual realm is very, very different, to say the least. But I do like the shark statement she makes.
Analogy.
Yeah.
Let's see what's popping in the chat. Colleen says, I love listening to Steve's family stories. Thank you. They don't talk about it a whole lot. So when they do, I try to just like grab it and keep it so I can remember it. Yeah. But they all seem to have some sort of experience, even if they don't like to talk about it.
They are some pretty good ones. They are good.
Emily says, every house I lived in growing up was haunted. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Maybe it's not the house.
Bingo. Bingo.
Not that I want it to be that for you, because I 100% do not.
Maybe you are a magnet for the otherworldly. What's Lydia Dietz say? I myself am strange and unusual. From Beetlejuice. Oh
boy, we got another call.
Heard it.
So here we go. Hello.
Yo.
Kyle, Steve, this is Bert.
What's going on, buddy?
Oh, Burton, what's up?
Hey, guys. So your friend Bertie in the chat, he started talking about his haunted school, and okay, so it brought up a lot of memories I had of my school. Mainly growing up, there's an old part of our school, and there was a new part of our school. There's an old gym and a new gym, and our lunchroom was the same lunchroom they had forever. I believe the school was built in like 1903. It was old. And what was it? This lady who worked in the computer area, she was a paranormal researcher like back in the day. And I remember her being friends with my sister, told her the story of how the school is haunted. And basically it's an old gym. They go into this gym at night because they have access to the school. They do a paranormal investigation, old school tape recorders, asking questions, and they get responses back when they play back the recording of whatever they recorded. It was an old lady basically screaming at them to get out of the gym. Just get out. Just get out. You're not supposed to be here. Get out. And like, of course, during the time, they didn't hear anything. They were just recording and talking to the ether and nothing. So whenever I was in school there, you had to walk, like, to get to the middle school, you had to walk through the old gym from the basement. It was like a whole pain. Anyways, I remember there was this group of girls, 2 girls, if I remember correctly, that were walking in the gym after school. The lights were off, and they said that somebody or something was chasing them through there. Like, so they're walking through the dark, and I remember seeing these girls just crying their eyes out. And I'm like, what's up with these two? And somebody's like, they said somebody was chasing them in the gym. And I was like, are you serious? Because I remember hearing about this. Well, there was always this picture in the old middle school that was of an old lady, old librarian lady. And I remember doing a little research into it and asking the other teachers about it. And they were like, actually, I believe that she was an old lady, old librarian lady who had passed away in the school of like a heart attack or something. And I'm like, okay, that's a pretty good, possibility that this old lady yelling at these kids to get out of the school, that you're not supposed to be here. Is this just an old lady librarian who still thinks she's working there?
That's what I was thinking when you said it was a librarian. I'm like,
Yeah,
who
it's a
better
valid
to
point.
yell at the children to get
Right.
out of the cafeteria than
Right.
the librarian? That's one thing when I
And
hear these encounters, I'm always curious as to the history of the building and the geographical area to see if is some sort of historical tie-in.
right. One of the things I remember that happened to me and a friend of mine, we were hanging out in the bathroom, down in the lunchroom. You weren't supposed to be doing it. We were literally like 5th graders, 6th graders. We were really young. And you know how kids are. We don't do everything we're told. So we weren't supposed to be hanging out in there, but that's where we were,
That checks out.
And you get it. So we're in there, we're just shooting the shit. He's washing his hands. I remember this part vividly. He was washing his hands, and he goes to, the old, what am I thinking? Paper towel dispenser. You pull it down, paper towel comes out. He's washing his hands. He reaches for it. I'm standing right next to him. He never touches the damn thing, but it starts going off on its own, like viciously, like somebody is shoving paper towels out of this thing. And I'm just like, we both just look at each other. He never even dried his hands. We just walked out. We're like, nope, no, we're done.
Just ignore it. It'll go away.
That one. Yeah, exactly. And that was like before I'd ever even heard of the school being haunted. And I was just like, no, let's get the hell out of here. I don't know what that was. That was just weird. But yeah, I remember the dude Birdie was telling the story of his school, and I'm just like, what are the odds, man? That I wonder how many haunted schools there are in this country or on this planet, really.
Oh,
It's just, I don't know.
Probably a ton, because a lot of them are so old.
Yeah, dude.
Because we had in the old high school, which me and you both went to, right, Kyle? You're only a couple years younger than I am.
Yeah. I was actually the last graduating class from that high school.
For you. And do you remember the hatch that led down into like the basement?
Mm-hmm.
Did they say there was a pool there or some shit? I can't remember. Like,
that was one of the rumors.
Yeah, everybody said that was haunted, like that somebody was murdered down there and all this other like weird teenage shit people put forth. But the building, I never had anything happen, but the building was weird. The building, when you were in there and it was empty, it just, I don't know if every like old ass large building like that has that vibe, if it's just like I said, the liminal space, but it's creepy. It's creepy.
Oh, for sure.
That's insane. That's, oh man. No, I agree, dude. That's pretty crazy.
I like
a lot of people get that feeling. The old buildings are just, I don't know, phenomenal. I know that the middle school that had the picture of the old librarian lady, like after I got out of middle school and the high school, that they renovated that, so they got rid of all the old crap. It's all new crap. So I don't even know if that lady's picture is there anymore. But
just lost with time.
Awesome. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is.
So much history.
I hope she's still scaring the crap out of people.
Me too. Telling everybody to sit down and be quiet. Get out of the
exactly. Yep.
Thanks for calling in, Burton. It was good to hear from you. Everybody go over and check out Local Legends with Burton Warren.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
I love you guys. You guys have a great one, and Merry Christmas if I don't see you guys.
Yep, you as well. Stay safe and keep it weird, man.
Always.
Bye. That's the other thing that is weird to me, right? So when you have your digital recorders or tape recorders or whatever, you can ask questions, you can whatever, you can just set them there, and then from time to time they capture something, going off, and it just makes you feel weird because there's like that veil there where it's like somebody's yelling at you and you just can't hear it. It's very weird.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and take this call. Hello.
Yo.
What's up, Hollow Colt?
What's going on, buddy?
It's Twiz from Discord and chat. And
Right
saying
on.
hello from Indiana.
Awesome.
What up?
I know the topic so far has been ghosts, but I'm going to break that streak and go with a chase story.
Okay.
I'm down.
So, in southern central Indiana, Brown County State Park, I grew up probably 10 miles from there and lived there most of my young life. We moved to the city because my dad got a job in Indianapolis, but I would always go down to visit to kind of, recharge my batteries and just get away, to get out into the woods. I'd been going there my whole life, and I would, just drop in the middle of the night and run down there. Takes about an hour to get down there from Indianapolis. And I'd be known to be there at like 1, 2 in the morning just by myself. And they have 2 lakes on the property. And the one I was at that night was Straw Lake. And it's kind of situated almost like a horseshoe. So the outer part of the horseshoe, the round part, is all surrounded by woods. And then where the bottom of the horseshoe would be is a dam for that lake. And you can walk the perimeter of that lake as a trail, which I had done, hundreds of times before. So it was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was down there sitting on the far side of the lake by myself, smoking a cigarette, just enjoying the stars and the dark and the quiet. And out of nowhere, I get, the goosebumps on your arm and the hair starts to stand up on the back of your neck. It's 1 o'clock in the dark in the middle of the woods. That can happen. But this just felt different. It felt different enough for me to stop what I was doing and head back to the truck. Well, as I'm coming around the trail to get back up to the dam to cross back over the parking lot, I start to hear something in the woods, probably about, 20 feet to my right. On my right-hand side is the woods. On the left-hand side is the lake. We don't have anything in Indiana bigger than a bobcat. We don't have bears. We don't have any type of big predatory cat besides a bobcat. And what I was hearing was bipedal. The parking lot was completely empty. I'm out in the middle of the night in a state park that's closed after, sunset or dark or whatever. So I'm pretty much there by myself. There might be some park rangers on the property, but I would never see them when I would go in and out. So I continue down the trail, start to quicken my pace, get a little bit more nervous. The hair on the back of your neck still standing up. And this, whatever it was, starts to come closer and starts to match my pace. And I've got, probably 100 yards to make it to the dam. And that whole area from the dam is just like a straight shot. It's wide open. So I knew As soon as I come around the corner and hit this dam, I had to run because it had whatever was there had me out in the open. It didn't have the trees to hide. It would have been completely, right on top of me. So I get to the dam and just start running. And I hear behind me, it starts to run, but when it hits that tree line, it stops. I don't turn around to see what's behind me. I don't waste any time. It stopped chasing me. I didn't stop running. I ran to the truck and bounced out. And I've never had any type of experience in that part. Like I said, I go there hundreds of times. I've never had any type of experience like that before.
Nope. No.
No,
The
I'm with
woods.
that. I'm with
Yeah.
that.
No. I think about immediately think about missing 411. I know I'm on the fence about it, but I do think something's going on. I think that there is possible predatory entities out there. I don't know that it's biological, like human. I don't know if it's interdimensional. I don't know if it's metaphysical, but I do think something's out there that can and does possibly prey on people in the woods. I've been out in the woods before and I've heard stuff move around. I don't know that I've ever been stalked, but I've been in the woods. Like I've told the story before. I've been in the woods. I've been in 1,000 times, walked all over it, and I've gotten turned around to the point to where I didn't know where I was. It's not even that big of a patch of woods, and it's almost like the whole atmosphere of where you're at changes. It's almost like everything gets silent, and you're almost in I don't know, you're almost in a different place, and you're not. You almost feel like you're not the top of the food chain anymore, and it is terrifying.
That's exactly what I felt. This place is my Zen place. I go here because it's safe. You know what I mean? I go there because it recharges me. It nature chakra, whatever you want to call it, it refills me. When I leave that place, I am feeling better than when I entered. And this was completely different than any experience I've ever had. I've never even gotten followed by anything. Usually it's frogs, crickets, at the most maybe an owl. But like I said, Indiana does not have large predatory animals. The biggest one we have is a bobcat. Now there's been sightings of mountain lion down there in the last 5 years, but it's not been confirmed. The DNR hasn't said anything to confirm it, but even if it was that, this was on 2 legs. This was bipedal. The sound of somebody chasing you versus something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be, I don't even want to say attacked, but that's what it felt like, to be attacked in your Zen place. It messes you up.
Oh yeah.
This happened 5-6 years ago. And in that 5 or 6 years, I've barely been back to Brown County, maybe 3 or 4 times, and it's always during the day. I have never gone back at night, and I used to go all the time. Like I would just drop and drive an hour just to get away. And yeah, man, and I'm definitely not going back there in the dark by myself. That's for sure.
I think I'm still I've got my own theory. I'm in my own lane on this. I feel like our consciousness is a defense mechanism. It's put up to keep these things at bay. And when you go to a place that you're safe in, a place that you're comfortable in, you kind of expand your consciousness. Like when I go to my spot, like I just kind of open up and I'm just good with it. And I think whereas that's healthy to do for us mentally and spiritually and metaphysically, I also think again, there are entities out there that just wait for us to open those doors. And as soon as we do, they're like, okay, here we go. You know, this person's letting their guard down, and here they come.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for what you do. You have an awesome podcast. Thank you so much for giving all of us a place to gather and a platform to tell our stories. And if you're ever in Central Indiana, hit me up. I have no problem. I know Central Southern Indiana like the back of my hand. So by all means, you are invited.
Right
awesome.
on. I appreciate you
That's
calling
awesome.
in.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Have a happy holidays and stay weird and safe out there.
I didn't like the part where it was tracking him. It was matching his footsteps.
That's
And it's even more sus that the damn thing stopped at the tree line. Like that's fucked up, right? Because if you'd figure, I mean, it'd have to be intimidated if it was a predator to not leave cover, but you would think that if it was hot on the hunt, boy, like you said, after that tree line, it'd be 100-yard dash, and a lot can happen in 100 yards when you're going toe to toe, like a bobcat, man. If that thing wanted to slap you, it's gonna come get you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because they take down deer and stuff. So
oh yeah, it's kind of like the rock field, man. When I get up there, I just zone out from everything that's going on in my life and everything else. It's just my place that I want to be.
right.
And I've had similar experiences where I didn't necessarily feel threatened, but I did hear things walking bipedally, and they were matching my pace. Like as I would go, they would go, and I would be in the field, the plowed field, and they would be in the wood line walking on all the foliage and shit. When I would stop, they would stop. But when I would move,
That's so bizarre to me. That's so bizarre.
it's weird.
It would creep me out to know that to have that feeling, to have that experience where you're walking, you can audibly hear yourself, but then you start to hear a second track. Like it's one thing whenever you're not in sync with each other. Like when you just hear, because it happens all the time to me, because like I spend a lot of time in the woods and you'll hear deer walking nearby, or you'll hear squirrels playing in the leaves, and even the squirrel can be misleading, the way that it moves through the leaves and stuff. You start to think like, what in the fuck is that coming? And then you see a little squirrel playing off in the distance, but to audibly hear that sync where it starts matching your pace and your everything, it's matching you. That's a huge, for me, that seems like a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Like this is not good.
It's something that doesn't want you to know that it's following you.
Right.
It's moving when you're moving. It's predatory. It's a
Perhaps
predatory move.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Like at the end of the day, whether it's animal or something else, it's 100% a predatory move. 100%.
I'm kind of reading through the chat here. Squirrels are loud as hell. I'm here to tell you, man. Some of the loudest things I've heard in the woods are fucking squirrels.
Yeah. Like there's more than one time where I'll be sitting there and sometimes they'll even throw me off where you'll hear like a pitter patter, pitter patter, pitter patter. And you're like, is somebody walking up here? Is somebody like, listen. Somebody walking up here, and then you see it go boop, and it jumps on a tree, and you're like, "You little son of a bitch!"
Yeah. Just had me terrified for my life.
Yeah. But it is really fun to watch. Way off topic, but it's fun to watch the wildlife, kind of move about.
Yeah, the woods are weird, man.
The woods are a very weird place.
I'll look through the chat here. We're already at an hour and a half. We'll probably wrap it up pretty quick. I see Nancy K's in the chat. What's up, Nancy?
Yeah.
Emily says, I went to the old high school for 1 year, and that school was creepy. Panther Gang, what up? It was. The old school was weird. The old school was weird.
It was weird, but I kind of enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's now that it's gone. Burton says, I love how many people identify with haunted school stories. That's something you don't hear a whole lot about, like that
Not
being
really.
a main topic of discussion. And when you think about it, there's so much like emotional turmoil in schools.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why there's so much teen angst and shit going on. It's probably just a magnet.
Yeah, I think that's what somebody in there said, almost the exact same thing. I can't remember who it was or where it was at, but yeah, it's virtually the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's definitely a lot of emotion running through a high school.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I think on that note, thank you everyone for hanging out. We had tons of people in the chat interacting. Excellent again. Shout out to all our Discord friends that come over here and kick it with
Yeah.
us. Shout out to all the if you're in the chat and you're not in the Discord, check the show notes.
Better get there.
Go
Better
be
get
part of
there.
the community. It's awesome.
Yeah,
It is
hopefully we
awesome.
can
It's one of the best.
start to grow this community as well, to kind of start
Yeah.
getting more and more people. But it'll also help too when we add the other platforms, the Facebook and the Twitter, because then we'll have everybody commenting and spending time in it. I think this could be a cool thing.
It is. It's building into something awesome. And I want to thank everybody who called in with the stories today.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Absolutely. A lot of you people, I feel like it takes a little bit of courage to do that, because I would be on the fence myself. I always tell people, I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. It's no big deal. But I totally understand like some of the angst and like it.
The very first
get it.
Crypticon we went to in 2019, they did an open mic session, right? So you could go up there and tell your stories. Derek Hayes from Monsters Among Us was the house host. And Kyle was so on the fence to go up there. We were like, man, this is to be a great opportunity to plug the show. You could go up there and be like, I'm Kyle, host of the Holosky podcast. Here we go. And we just
couldn't do it.
Could not get the courage up to go and talk in front of people.
I couldn't do it. So hats off to all of you. Like it's awesome. Like I said, really appreciate it. And I know I can sit here and say that nobody's going to bother you, and we're going to appreciate your stories, whatever they may be. But I understand that feeling.
It does. You have to take down a wall to be able to tell,
For sure.
Especially talk about the paranormal.
Yes.
And the unexplained, because that's such a taboo still today. Like the government says UFOs are real and people are still taboo about telling
right.
stories. But
absolutely.
We appreciate you all. We are so glad that you could hang out with us.
Yes.
And we will do this again soon. I know it's the holiday season. It's going to get busy for a week or so. But as soon as we're back, we will let everybody know. Until we meet again, Holo Cult. Stay safe, stay weird, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday.